What's up guys, Jake's here, and I decided today I'm going to do a relatively simple battle between two characters that, well, one I really like and the other I really don't like. He's a fucking fraud, but you'll know what I'm talking about in a second. But before I get to the video, I just want to clarify something. If you're wondering why I'm using very irrelevant characters or characters that nobody knows who they are, it's because, well, that's the whole point of the series. We're not doing Hulk versus Iron Man or fucking, I don't know, Superman versus Goku. We're doing random ass obscure characters that you've never heard of. Because, well, it's more fun that way. But anyway, let's go back to the main point, and let's get into the scaling of who would win the fight between these two heroes. And just like that, we're starting off with the super soldier himself, Captain Battle. But here's the thing about Captain Battle that we need to discuss real quick. Despite having a super soldier serum, he's not actually super. Like, while he does have a super soldier serum and he was injected with it and supposedly made him buff and more stronger, it doesn't actually seem to have any effects. Like, he's just an average human the entire movie. This is why I called this guy a fraud earlier in the video. Like, I'm genuinely trying to find a way to make this part of the video interesting, but I just literally can't do the fact that this guy basically does nothing notable this entire movie. I mean, yeah, he might be like a random goon or two, but like, that's really it. This guy has no good feats in the movie. Like, there are multiple times throughout this movie where he straight up gets overpowered by regular humans with zero feats other than just being sort of bigger than him. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this guy could legitimately get beaten by LeBron James. Not even like a superhuman, just LeBron James could probably beat this guy in a fight. I mean, to his credit, he does apparently have a baseball bat and possibly even a knife in the movie, but even then, he's barely seen actually really using them that well. On top of that, his reaction speed isn't that good either, since he got ran up by a guy with a knife while he had a gun and got caught off guard, even though he had several seconds to react to that. So, yeah, Captain Battle isn't exactly the best. But with all that out of the way, let's see what gets his opponent in this random battle.
It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's everyone's favorite superhero, Beeman. The man who was bitten by a bee and then became a bee. Man. But regardless of all that, let's go ahead and get into his scaling. Because unlike Captain Battle, Beeman has some actual feats that can be calculated. So let's get into that. Now before we get into Beeman's biggest feat, we should go ahead and cover some of his smaller feats. Now in terms of travel speed, he's roughly around 3 to 7.7 miles per hour. And while that may not be impressive at first glance, you gotta remember he's going against somebody who can't even catch up to a slow moving car. So in this case, it's actually pretty impressive. By comparison at least. And considering how Beeman's able to do multiple tasks throughout his game and walk a pretty sizable distance while doing it, I'd say he has relatively high stamina for the most part. Not superhuman or anything, but relatively high. I would also like to say the same thing for his endurance, since the one time we actually seen Beeman getting hurt in any way, shape, or form, he takes literally zero damage from it and just kind of walks it off with zero repercussions. But with all those smaller feats out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss his most notable feat. Now in the game, there's this part where this weird kid will come up to you and ask you to avoid 10 cars to prove that you're cool. And in the segment, Beeman can't get hit by one of the cars. And if he does, he will take literally zero damage from it. However, the car is actually stopped by hitting Beeman himself, meaning that all the kinetic energy gained up by the car due to how fast it moves, how heavy he is, etc., that's all going into Beeman. That is way more lethal than like any other like average car going at that speed. And using the speed of the car, the weight of the car, and all those other factors, that feat actually gets up to around 14 kilojoules of force, or in better term, 14,000 joules. And Beeman just casually tanked that shit with zero physical damage at all. And considering how durability is equal to AP, that means that he will also be able to output this amount of energy too. And considering how this is almost 4 times the amount of energy it would take to snap somebody's femur bone in half, Beeman is very, very dangerous, especially compared to Captain Battle. To be honest, the only thing that really hinders Beeman in this fight is the fact that, well, 1, he's never really actually been in an actual fight before, and, well, 2, he's also kind of stupid. He's not exactly a smart guy. I mean, he's still able to do his task, and that's all that matters, but at the same time, he's just not really that smart. But even with him being a bit dumb, at least he's able to actually complete his objective, unlike Captain Fraud, who can't even complete the objective of his own fucking movie. So now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and see who would actually win in a one-on-one between these two characters. Alright, now we are on the final part of the video, which is who I think would win in a 1v1 if these two were to meet and how it would happen. The way I feel like this fight would most likely pan out is that Beeman would most likely be minding his own business, just trying to do his task, while all of a sudden Captain Battle would mistake him for a criminal, and then proceed to approach him. Then he'd probably just escalate the situation from there, and they would end up having a fight. Most likely with Beeman just trying to defend himself from this, well, guy, if you can even kind of call him that. But in terms of who would actually win the fight, to the surprise of absolutely nobody who's been paying attention so far, Beeman is absolutely wiping the floor of Captain Battle in basically almost every single physical category there is. Beeman is stronger, more durable, arguably faster, and just better in pretty much every single physical way there is. That combined with the stamina and endurance and the fact that Captain Battle literally loses to like every average human he's ever fought in the movie, yeah, Captain Battle is absolutely cooked. There's literally zero chance that he's beating Beeman in any way possible. Like, there is unironically a pretty good chance that Beeman just straight up one-shots him before the fight even starts. So to the surprise of absolutely nobody, Beeman is 100% taking this with little to no difficulty at all. But yeah, that was the first episode of Random Battles. Hope you guys liked it, and I will be posting another one very, very soon. Have a good day. See ya!